Um, my computer says it's 7:01 p.m., so we'll call this meeting to order. And we'll have the record show that all 6 members of the Board of Finance are present. Correspondence, I'm aware of it was an agenda for the Board of Education meeting on May 11th that was sent to us. I'm also aware of, it was, and I'll read the comments during citizens' comments, but it was citizens' comments from a member of the community, and he had submitted them to the selectman's office. Well, he submitted to budget@thompsonct.org addressing the selectmen, and then Marie forwarded it to us. So I'll read that during citizens' comments. I'm not aware of any other correspondence. Is anybody aware of any other correspondence in the last few days? Looks like the chat button is active. Okay, that's a citizen's comment, and I will read that in a few moments. Thank you, Julie. Is anyone aware of any other correspondence in the last few days that we may have got? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to citizens' comments. So perfect timing. We've got Julie Malice. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, Julie. 277 Quatictown Farm Road. 277 Quatictown Farm Road, Thompson. She says the energy, love, and support for the teachers and staff at the Tuesday, May 5th Thompson Public Schools Parade was palpable. Excellent job to all who organized and participated. What a great way to unite our community. Then we have a request from Kathleen Herbert. She says, I have a comment to make. So Kathleen, if you're able to unmute yourself, by all means, feel free. You can just, for the record, state your address and then share your comment.
Okay, this is Kathleen Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road. And that's a perfect segue. The last comment's a perfect segue into what I have to say. This past Tuesday, our community came together in a way that was very heartwarming. I hope most of you had a chance to see the We Miss You parade put on by the teachers and the fire departments for our students. I drove through Grosvenor-Dale and saw many people lined up along the street waiting for the parade to go by. Many thanks go out to Carol Rossetti and Jamie Sinay, our first select person, Amy St. Ange, and our fire departments, and all the others who made this spectacular event possible. This is my vision of what a small town looks like embracing its own in times of trouble. So when I read negative comments on Facebook about why are we paying teachers and other school employees when they are not working, that makes me cringe. Teachers and support personnel are working harder than ever in ways they never imagined. They're making themselves available 12 hours a day or more to accommodate working parents who are now faced with helping their children in distance learning. Teachers are putting together evening programs to keep kids engaged with school work while learning at home by creating sing-alongs and other arts and musical programs. A typical teacher reaches out to each and every child individually at least 2 or 3 times per week, along with all the other distance learning programs that they have charge of. Admin is working long and hard writing grants to fund extraordinary expenses we deem necessary for when children finally are allowed back to school. They're monitoring problems that arise from the challenge of the new way of teaching and answering parent questions and concerns about distance learning. The tech department has the added challenge of pickup and repair and delivery of Chromebooks for the middle school and high school. But we now have added over 400 more Chromebooks to their workload through grants to supply the kindergarten through 4th grades. We have 3 people who are in our tech department who are working 12-hour days or more and sometimes 7 days a week to keep up with this challenge. These people are going above and beyond for the children and the community. The custodians are helping pack breakfasts and lunches that the kitchen staff has prepared. Our security people are delivering these lunches to the designated drop-off sites in town so that our children do not go hungry. Everyone is chipping in. While I applaud the town hall's non-bargaining units for freezing their pay, the school only has a handful of non-bargaining unit employees, and these employees are working almost a double workload. We are in the middle of negotiations with two of our bargaining units, and so I cannot speak to the details. These employees are also working above and beyond what is in their job descriptions or contracts. I know everyone loves a parade, so carry on the spirit shown by the people of Thompson for this past Tuesday's parade, and continue to supply the school with the necessary funding it needs to carry on its vision for the future of the children of Thompson. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Let's see, we'll move on to, this is from Dick Trudeau, and Dick Trudeau of 192 Wager Road. Okay. And he has a question, and I'm sure we probably will discuss this in one shape or another once we get to the budget workshop. But he says, does anyone have information about anticipated funds from the state? Do we expect to receive the amount indicated in the municipal aid package or more or less? And so I imagine that will be part of our discussion. Thank you for bringing it up, Dick. Okay, Orla says no update on state funds at this time. Let's see. Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive. Well said, Mrs. Herbert. My children have multiple contacts with their teachers, paras, speech multiple times per week, sometimes per day. The idea that they are not working is extremely inaccurate. It's beyond time for this town to step up. Let's see. So then from Brittany Charbonneau, 56 Juliet Ave. It says, agree, Kathleen, we cannot afford to cut school budget. We cannot afford to lose our greatest school investment, our teachers. We need to continue to support the school and those who run it for the sake of our children. I appreciate all the work who went above and beyond to put on this parade. So if anyone has a comment to share, you can click the chat button and you can enter your comments in the little window down below, or you can raise your hand, or you can, I believe you can unmute yourself and request to be recognized. In the meantime, I will read, if I can find it. We had, oh, here it is. This is a citizen's comment that was forwarded to us by Marie in the Selectman's office earlier today. This is from Eric Rustick. It says Eric Rustick and Penny Matthews, 93 Thompson Hill Road, North Grovendale. They submitted this to the budget@thompsonct.org email address on May 6th at 5:44 p.m. It says, Dear Selectman, I am writing because I feel very strongly that only a flat budget should be the only course of action for right now in Thompson. There are many who have lost their jobs, and that will be only the beginning with the uncertainty of everything going on, and that it will continue for the foreseeable future. The residents need assurances that they have worked so hard to keep. They will not be burdened any more than we can handle. I love this town. I want it to succeed long into the future. Only a flat budget ensures that the burden for the residents is kept controlled. Thank you. Let's see. It says, so looks like David Ford of 200 Porter Plain Road says, I would like to speak.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, David.
Okay. All right, perfect. Hey, what I wanted to actually take a minute here, obviously this last letter you guys read kind of touches a little bit on it. Right now in the town of Thompson, there's a lot of jobs lost due to this COVID-19 thing. It's going to get a lot worse if we continue to go on the way it's going. So I understand a couple things. Number one, We have a ramp truck in our fleet there that really needs to be replaced. So, I mean, I'm not going to ask you to do a straight out flat budget, but I'm going to say, please be cautious, because at the end of this, there's going to be a lot of foreclosures. We're going to feel the burden off of all this. So I ask you guys to be very cautious on how you proceed with the budget. And I understand this is a rough time for everybody. Our school system at this point has been shut down. We should have actually saved a little bit between electricity and heat/air conditioning. So just, I'm like I said, I'm not even saying only a flat budget, but what I'm saying is just be very mindful of the fact that if this goes on for a few more months, there's going to be a lot of people in the town hurting.
Thank you, David. If anyone else has a comment, like I said, you can click the chat button, type your message there. If you're, let's see, looks like we just got a couple more in. Okay. This is from Sarah Desjarlais. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, Sarah. 210 Pompeo Road. It says, I agree with Kathleen. The educators and administrators in this school district have been going above and beyond their job. They work tirelessly on not only teaching, but keeping contact with their students and families at all hours of the day and evening. I'm so pleased that my children are part of the school district. Next comment is from Jessica Bolte, 1081 Riverside Drive. Any savings, she says, any savings would be offsetting the over budgeting of special education costs that were unexpected. Okay. And Sarah Desjarlais says, that's right, with a little smiley face, little emoticon there, or emoji. Then, yes, Melinda Smith requests to make a comment. If we can unmute Melinda.
Thank you, Aaron. I just wanted to follow up on the comment that we're saving money. We might be saving a very small fraction on fuel and electricity, but the costs associated with running the school department since we've closed actually have added a lot of expenses. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that there isn't a whole lot of savings at all. And in fact, we are actually spending money to manage the district and feed our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. All right. Then this comes to us, a comment from Danielle Carlson, 3 Rachel Drive, North Gordondale. It says, I agree 100% with Kathleen. We need to support our town, school, and families right now. Technically, it says, right now, we too hold on tight to all the positivity, promise, and light. I imagine what she probably means is right now we need to or should hold on to, hold tight on to all the positivity, promise, and light. Yep. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. So again, if someone has a comment, they can enter it, they can type it into the chat window down at the bottom, or they can click raise your hand, or I believe at this time you could unmute yourself and request to be recognized. And if you're formulating a longer thought and you just want to quickly type, hold on a second and hit send on the chat window, I'll wait for you. Just want to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. All right. Yep, okay, so then looks like Christine Campbell of 861 Thompson Road says, I would like to make a comment, please. So if we are able to unmute Christine, and if any of you having trouble, oh, there we go. Christine, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. This is Christine Campbell. I had talked a few weeks ago, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to make many of these budget meetings this season. I just would like to stress the urgency to keep as flat of a budget as possible, as flat an increase as possible, because as it's been said already by a couple of people, many have lost their jobs. It's an unknown situation that we are all in here. We all know that when the reevaluations were done, that I think that all the homes, if not all, most of the homes did have an increase in value. So we are going to see an increase in our taxes. And I would please urge the Board of Finance to either have a 0 increase this year or a nominal if it's at all possible. That's really all I have to say, and I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christine. And for the record, Christine lives at 861 Thompson Road. Then we have an additional comment from David Ford, and I know we already have on record his address. His quote, his comment is, now I lost it. Okay, David Ford says, keep in mind that if you raise the budget too much, the school and town will suffer in next referendum. Okay. Then we have something that's from a person named Natasha. I don't know who this is. Saying that I agree, flat budget due to uncertain times. We do not know the future, and so many have been impacted. Natasha, if you could do me a favor and enter into the chat window your full name and your street address, that would be helpful. Okay, here we go. She did. Thank you, Natasha. 9 Walker Drive, Quinnebog. It says, agree, flat budget due to uncertain times. We do not know the future, and so many have been impacted. Okay. Thank you, Natasha Marie. So again, any other comments can go into the chat window down below. You can enter, or you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and request to be recognized. So Amy Sainage would like to speak. Go ahead, Amy. If you could, for the record, state your address too, please.
Good evening, everyone. It's Amy St. Ange, 139 Riverside Drive. This is a really hard budget season. And I guess what I really want to share is the other day, as I was watching the Today Show, there was a woman from out in California who worked for Disneyland. She works for Disneyland, and they were interviewing her. And she talked about how she doesn't think she's going to have a job. And unemployment hasn't kicked in for her yet. And she's not quite sure how she's going to make ends meet. So as we're getting ready to finalize the budget for this year, I know that the Board of Finance is tasked with something really great. And you have a lot on your shoulders. The weight of what we're all having to deal with. And trust me, what I really believe is we haven't even begun to see the wave of the impact that's going to take place in our economy. I just don't think we've seen it yet. We haven't been fully impacted, and we have to be mindful of what's yet to come. And what I really wanted to do tonight was take a second and commend the departments within the town. I have worked with these people for only 6 months, but what I know is they're fantastic people and they're fantastic departments, and they work hard for the people of the town, and they have done everything that they can to come as close to a flat budget as possible. And I just wanted to take a second to commend them and just to say we have to do whatever we can to make sure that we come in as close to flat as possible. And I know that flat is probably unrealistic, but I just really believe that as a town, we have to strive to do our very best to make sure that we're trimming the budget as much as we can, but being responsible in the same respect. So I just thought it was important to share that, and I really couldn't be more proud of all of our department heads at the town hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. So again, if someone has a comment, they can enter it. They can click the chat button, enter it into the window down below, and hit enter. And it looks like Danielle Carlson just shared something. It says, I'm out of work. Employees support what is right for our town and school. A reasonable and responsible budget is not a flat budget. Okay. Rhonda Rooney has a comment. Go ahead, Rhonda, and because this is citizens' comments, for the record, could you please state your address?
Yes,
It looks
13
like you're
Main
muted at the moment. Oh, there you go. Okay,
I'm
go
on.
ahead.
I have two on. 13 Main
Good.
Street. I just wanted to say thank you to Amy for taking the time to meet with everybody again, and all the department heads as well. And also, I wanted to thank all the employees of the town garage, the library. I'm not sure if the library participated, but all those that had forfeited their raises. We really do appreciate that. And I know that's a huge sacrifice for people. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I just want to say thank you to Amy. You're doing a great job. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. So again, you can enter your comment press the chat button, enter it down below, click the raise your hand, or unmute yourself and request to be
Aaron?
recognized. Yes, go ahead, Sean, and for the record, could you state your address, please?
Yep, Sean Brissett, Whittemore Ave. I don't know, is this going to be the last meeting? I don't remember what your schedule is.
My understanding is that this is, we're going to try to make this the last meeting. This is the last meeting in the Selectmen's resolution for the Board of Finance's budget workshop calendar. And then after this is, I believe, a public hearing. And then another separate meeting after that would be a sort of final vote. I'm still not sure what that looks like, but as far as I know, this is the last budget workshop for this.
Okay, so the point I want to make is that as you're building the budget, and I know it was probably a couple meetings ago, if not a couple weeks ago, where Rob Wurge had, in speaking of the roll-off truck, he had talked about, that you may have some zero financing options out there. I guess what I want to say is everybody, I think, agrees a responsible budget is what the town needs. There's different opinions on what responsible is. Responsible, in my opinion, has never been just cut, cut, cut. Responsible is meeting the needs of the town, whether it's $1.5 million for roads or whether it's contractual obligations at the school. So in building this to get to the final mill rate, I hope you use the different avenues that are at your disposal. One being possibly zero financing on a new vehicle, if that's the route you go. Another, and I've seen this in local towns, I've been paying attention to the other towns, and we have a fund balance for a reason. The state requires a minimum fund balance for bonding. I'm still curious as to whether they're going to change what's considered acceptable given these times where I think a lot of towns are going to be reaching into their fund balance to help balance the budget. If this isn't the type of time where you would use that, I'm not really sure what would be. So I think that you can accomplish this a couple of different ways tonight. Putting together a responsible spending plan while minimally impacting the mill rate. So I hope that's something that you're efforting to do is really work the budget, not just look at cuts, but what's the best way to get to the finished product. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Looks like we have some activity in the chat button here. I was writing something down a moment ago, so now I'm catching up here. Okay. So there's our finance director entered something into the chat window that says one comment to what Kathleen mentioned about the increases. These included union and non-union employees. Thanks. Okay.
Can I make a comment, please, to that question?
Is it okay, Kathleen, if you get in line down, because I need to.
Sure, but it refers to oral, what you just read.
Sure, then go ahead, Kathleen.
I have a question. Does the town have an actual MOU from their bargaining units?
I can answer that, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Okay, so just similar to what's going on at the school level, The town is in negotiation on our union contract. We
Okay.
made the decision to freeze the pay increases for next year based on that. If we were in a union contract, no doubt Amy and the other Board of Selectmen may consider opening up the contract and negotiating a pay freeze, even if one was contracted.
Okay, well, we're in that same position, but we can't say we have nothing because we don't. We don't have an agreement with our unions.
Okay.
Fine.
So,
I just answered your question, that's all.
so completely appreciate the clarifications. I want to keep this, because this is citizens' comments, I know that there's other citizens who have entered comments, and so I want to honor their comments and get down to them. Let's see. Allison Botaw, who's the director of the library, says library staff will not receive any wage increase. Okay. Looks like the finance director was clarifying something that someone had said previously. And then David Ford says, Chrissy mentioned another good point. With the inflation of home values, the town will already be paying more into taxes. Now we have something from Carolyn Martineau, 17 Leighton Road, Thompson. I agree that this is a very difficult and uncertain time. I cannot help but feel that due to the uncertain times, it is even more important that we ensure that the school has what it needs. The school is providing food, technology, and support to the children and families of this town. I work for the school, but I also live in town, and like everyone else, I am on a tight budget. But it is our duty and responsibility to provide for the children, family, and town. Okay. Any other citizens' comments? And honestly, folks, I'm not looking for someone to say, yeah, right on. I'm looking for real citizens' comments. Does anyone have a real legitimate citizens' comment that they want to share? You can do that by clicking the chat button and entering it in the window down below. You can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself and request to be recognized. Okay, so Christine Campbell says, may I ask a question, please? I just want to clarify this is citizens' comments as opposed to citizens' questions and answers, which is why I felt uneasy about the chair of the Board of Education and the finance director going back and forth a few moments ago, because it sets a bad precedent in the section called citizens' comments. Now the question is, what is the projected additional amount coming into the town given the revaluations that were recently done? So thank you, Christine, for that question. I'll make a note so that perhaps we can discuss that when we get to the budget workshop section. Are there any other citizens' comments at this time? I'm not seeing anything.
Aaron, it's Rob Wurge. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Rob. You have a comment to share?
It's not a citizen's comment. It's a clarification from a citizen's comment.
Okay.
It was noted a few comments ago that the library has no wage increases, and I believe on Monday we voted to increase some of the wages. So I just want to make sure that we're accurate and people know what was in and what was out in that regard.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification.
Aaron, do you want me to speak to that, or would you rather not? This is Allison.
Let's do that when we get to the budget workshop.
Fair enough. Thank you.
I just want to keep this to citizens' comments. But thank you, Allison. So this is from Jennifer Burlingame, 480 Watertown Farm Road. Okay, asking a question, and I'll just remind folks that this is citizens' comments. Have we explored options of eliminating certain commissions such as conservation and or IWC, and let the state handle for this town? Okay, thank you for that comment. Any other comments? And again, you can click the chat button and enter your comment in the window down below. You can click the raise your hand. You can unmute yourself and request to be recognized. Natasha says, thank you to the school for providing support to the families of this town, but increasing the burden is not going to benefit families who are already hurting. Thank you, Natasha. So I'm kind of getting the sense that it's kind of turning into, there are some comments that they're original, it's the first time this person is speaking, and now it's kind of like a little bit of a back and forth, and that's not really the spirit of citizens' comments. So I want to, if someone's already entered, 3 or 4 things, and what you're thinking of saying is kind of one more thing that's just kind of similar to what you've already said. I want this forum, I want citizens' comments to be, if you've got something purposeful and expressive and thoughtful and original, and this is your comment, please go ahead and enter it. If it's just kind of like piggybacking on something that you've already said before, we hear you. We've got your comments in writing, believe me. So I'll give it a little bit more time if someone has a comment, specific comment that they want to share. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And I wouldn't want anyone to take my thoughts the wrong way. When I was discouraging back and forth, I think we're all familiar with sort of chat rooms and blogs and even Facebook pages and how people kind of go back and forth. And so I wanted to avoid this meeting turning into that, because we've got a fair amount of work to do, and I kind of want to get to it. So I'm not seeing any more activity in terms of citizens' comments, so we'll move into the budget workshop section. And I know earlier in this string of citizens' comments, Dick Trudeau talked about money from the state, and I know he had raised that at the last meeting. So Orla, there's no update on state funds at this time. At least that's what you entered into the window.
Actually, Aaron, yeah, that is correct. Let me read you out an email that I received from CCM today. Just bear with me a second. I'll open up the email.
Thank you.
Okay, so hi.
I mean, this could even be a bigger question just about any news on the revenue side, but go ahead, Orla.
Okay, so the state is projecting a deficit of more than $2 billion for next year. They're looking at least $400 million in spending cuts. We don't know yet if municipal aid will be impacted. Once we get some news, we'll pass along. That was from George Rayfield at CCM this afternoon.
Okay, that's pretty sobering.
Yeah, I know.
Any updates with regard to revenue in general?
In relation to our revenue, let me just take a look at the numbers here and show you where we got. In fact, just bear with me a second and I'll share the document. Okay, so can everybody see it?
I can.
Okay, good. So I just want to go into our revenue line. So we've been playing with estimates for the fiscal year. So on our tax revenue, as of the end of April, we've taken in 16.171 million. And that's a 98% of our budget. Based on what we're seeing and the estimates, we're hoping to take in 150,000 in 2 months. But either way, we're going to be less than budget. So I'll give you an idea. Overall in revenue, we've taken in 25.678 million. And based on our estimates, we are going to be down. We're going to be less $207,000 on our revenue at the end of the year.
207 less than budget?
207 less than budget in the revenue side.
Okay.
That's of the current year.
That's the current year, correct?
Orla, I'm sorry. Steve, do you want to go ahead?
Well, I just wonder if we had any sort of a rough pass at how we're going to do on the spending side. Are we spending a little bit less than we expected as well? And how does that compare to the loss of income?
So the loss of income is reasonable, but we'll also have a reduction in spending. As you know, we usually have a reduction. We usually have a savings in some of the areas. And similar to previous year, we have a savings in benefits, fringe benefits and insurance lines. So at the moment, my ultra conservative surplus is likely to be about 130, but I think it's going to end up being about 100. So it looks like we'll have about 100,000 left in our surplus at the end of the year.
I thought we had more than 130 or something in sand and snow alone.
So I have taken into, I'll just go to that department now and I'll show you what I suggested. So there's been so much discussion over how best to handle those funds, Steve. What I decided at this stage, let me just show you, bear with me. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, snow removal. So as you know, the budgeted amount for the year is $175,000. At this stage, I'm putting an estimate in a full budget because there has been a lot of discussion over how best to use this additional $135,000 that we have right now. So at the moment, it's still part of. If it does not get spent, therefore the surplus will increase by whatever is left over in that line item.
In addition to the 100 that you just spoke of?
Yes, that is correct.
Does this also, I guess the question is maybe not this budget here, but the one we're working on, Rainey had suggested to change a few things too with the revenue. Has that been reflected?
No, it has not. One of the things he talked about is there's going to be a reduction in interest. So we, the anticipated loss of revenue is about 20,000. I think that was the dollars that he had suggested to us, but we have not made any changes to that at this stage.
Orla, this is Steve again.
Rob Wurge. Sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in total, what are we underspending in the current year? The 100 plus the roughly 135 in salt and sand?
That is correct.
So about 235, or very rough, and I appreciate it. It's very rough. So.
No, that's correct, Steve.
Thank you.
Rob Wurge, go ahead.
Orla, thank you, Aaron. Orla, Rainey also advised that we increase our reserve for uncollected taxes, feeling that it was already low and that it may, the situation we're in right now would exacerbate the uncollected amount. And I think that was about 100,000. That could be off, but.
Well, currently I'm just displaying there. Traditionally, what we have, the allowance that we've put in for uncollected taxes is 210,000. That dollar amount has not changed. And as a percentage of the current budget, it's less than 1%. The auditors would prefer it at 2, and I know Rainey would like it at 2 too.
Understood. Yeah, Rainey wanted it at 305 or something like that.
Yes.
I'm saying we have to do it. I'm just recapping the recollection of his comments around the year that we're going to have and the fact that that may be aggressive.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, against Orla, Steve again. So we, and I think I've asked this before, we don't roll forward any unused, uncollected tax reserve?
No, we don't. No, we have not traditionally done that.
Spend 200,000 instead of the 210 that's in the budget for the current year. We don't roll the 10,000 forward then.
No, we don't. No, I sorry, I take that back. We have rolled, the 10,000 is always rolled forward. My apologies. It's the 200 that is not.
Right. Clearly, if you have bad debt of 200, you recognize that, but
yes,
the amount you don't use is in fact rolled forward.
It's the set amount that is being rolled over year after year is $10,000.
It happens to be 10,000. That was just a grab number on my part. So really a very small amount then. Thank you.
Absolutely, very small amount.
Any other thoughts from members of the Board of Finance on these items? Is there anywhere in this budget that anybody wants to go at this time, to discuss at this time?
I
Aaron,
have something, Aaron, if I could jump in.
Go ahead, Rob Woods.
I'd like to clarify, and it may just be me, and if it's just Rob words, then I can take it offline, but I'm having a hard time understanding the inclusion of the $250,000 from Turtle Rock Trust in the budget, the new adjusted budget that Orla sent out. Yes, there is $250,000 that's in transfers. I get that. There's also $250,000 that's in revenue that wasn't in revenue in prior years or in last year. So if one washes the other, to me, it feels like we're not necessarily painting an accurate picture if we include it in the cost side, or if we include it in the percent increase, because it is left pocket, right pocket. It's washed out. That number could be 5 million, and if 5 million comes in, and we put 5 million in the transfer, it's really a net zero or zero sum situation for the town and for the budget. So Orla, if I don't have that right, could you re-explain again? And maybe others have it or don't have it, but we're counting it, but yet we're getting it on the revenue side that wasn't there. So should we really be counting it, or should that be washed out as well?
So if we break down the expenses and the revenue, yes, you're correct. For example, this dollar amount that lies in our capital line, the 250 is in there. But if you look on the screen here, I'm just showing you a rough calculation of where we get to the mill rate. We also, this line here is the proposed expenses, but we do reduce that expense line by any potential revenue that we can offset against that. For example, this revenue here in the education is any of the education income that traditionally hits the general fund. On the town side, we're referring to local, what we call local income, which is all of the permit fees and any of the other sources of income that we collect. But if you scroll over here to the capital column, we do have a line item in here for Turtle Rock Trust. So if we take the estimated revenue, it's actually, our estimated revenue includes that 250. So our amount that is needed for taxation purposes for the capital side of things is already reduced by the $250,000. Hope that helps. I know in relation to what you're saying is that because it's showing as a substantial increase on our capital line, yes, it is a percentage increase, but on the other side of things, when it comes down to how we calculate the need for taxes and how we calculate the amount of dollars that's needed to pay to balance the budget, that 250 is taken into account. Does that help you?
It helps, and I can appreciate how it's calculated on the revenue side, but on the expense side, let's use an extreme. Let's use the extreme case and say that you know, the total. So last year in budget of 1920 was for the town was 7.6 million. Let's just go to an extreme, Orla, and let's say that the Turtle Rock Trust had $7.6 million that they were going to contribute to the building, and it came in on the revenue line where you have it. And then we go to our roll-up of our budget expenditure summary, and we had 7.6 million. So that would mean we would have a 100% increase in our budget. Yeah. And that's the perception and the message that we're sending, when that's not true. I mean, the reality is if it was $7.6 million, yes, we might have a 100% increase in our budget, but it's 100% offset by money coming in. So I just, you know, words matter, and this is an important topic, I think, because at 268, which was the new number you sent out, if you took the 250 out as a wash, we're looking at basically a flat budget on the town side, $18,000 on a 7.6 million. So
that is correct.
I just think it's important. I just think it's important to really clarify that, because we're kind of dinging ourselves in a sense. We're making it look like there's more of an increase than there really is. And I use that extreme numbers and analogy to bring it to life a little bit more. Do I have that right, or do I have it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Rob, this is Steve. I tend to agree. It really distorts what's happening. I don't know a better way to do it, quite frankly, because you want to show the expense side of it, but it really does distort what we're trying to communicate here.
I think one way to do it, or the way businesses do it, is they do these adjustments below the line as an add back or as an exception. And Aaron, I don't know how you feel about it, but we're showing a 3.5% increase, and if that's the discussion amongst the townspeople that we have a 3.5% increase, the reality is it's a 0.2% increase, because most of that increase is coming back in the form of an increased revenue that wasn't in the prior year.
Yeah, and it's certainly something, it's one of the reasons why it's part of the process. It was for accountability purposes when they created the trust back in 2009, when they passed their ordinance requiring them to have it passed through and approved by the Board of Finance through the budget process. But it is worth looking into alternative ways for us to report it while still being accountable for the dollars. So yeah, it's a conversation. I can have a conversation with you and Steve and other members of the Board of Finance at a later date, and we can have a chat about it offline maybe.
I'd recommend that, and I'd recommend reporting it below the line or below the totals as a exception to well, not an exception, but as an addition to the budget, in and out.
Fair enough.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I know when I had said, is there any other member of the Board of Finance who has any thoughts about where they want to go next? I think Rhonda had expressed interest in sharing a thought. So I just want to make sure we come back in case, Rhonda, you still have that thought.
It's not about this section of the budget, though, is that?
True, because unless anyone else has anything they want to say about this particular item.
Aaron, can I just bring, can I mention one thing?
Go ahead.
So just in relation to a follow-up to our discussion last week on the salt shed, and although you had removed the costs for design and analysis at this time, there was a suggestion that I reached out to Woodstock because they were in the same boat as us a number of years ago. So I am in the process of getting a lot of information. Some of it is the documentation, including the scope of work, but I did hear back from the finance director, and she did mention to me that this particular project back 7 years ago, I believe, 7 or 8 years ago, it was part of building their entire new highway project. The estimated cost at the time was $750,000 for that salt shed. And she will be sending me additional information, which I'll pass on to the Board of Finance when I receive it. Okay?
Thanks, Rolla.
You're welcome.
In the immediate term, how we've left I think we've left $20,000 into that line item.
Oh, yes,
I guess
you
the
did,
lingering
correct.
question do we feel like 20,000 is sufficient to get this thing started? I'm not sure. Or I don't know if Woodstock gave you any indication as to whether or not 20,000 is sufficient to get this thing started.
I didn't ask, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
That was kind of the question, though, that we wanted to know. Just saying.
Sorry.
That's all right.
No worries, no worries.
Aaron, this is Steve.
Go ahead,
On this section, are you talking about just revenue in general, or when you ask for comments about this?
It was more just to see, any good news since the last time we got together. Anything that's popped up on the revenue radar screen that we can be relieved about, but maybe not. So if anyone has any thoughts about revenue.
I don't even think
Go ahead,
about this particular topic sort of good news, but if we're looking at the revenue streams that the town has there, these are obviously some of the big numbers are shown on the screen right now, but maybe all you could just touch on the other smaller sources of revenue, like transfer station fees. And I know the fire marshals instituted a fee schedule, and I wonder if there are any other small ones like that we should at least think about and consciously make a decision whether there's maybe things that we should consider there. For example, transfer station, it's been a couple of years since, I think it's been 2 years since we raised the fees there. Maybe a small increase would be appropriate. The fees cover, if I recall, only about half the cost of running a transfer station. Maybe we could increase that a small amount, 5% or 7% or something in that area. to help offset some of the cost of operating that. Maybe similarly, the same thought on the fire marshal. We've increased the fire marshal department by a substantial amount over the last couple of years, but we're only budgeting less than $3,000 worth of fees there. And I just wonder if maybe there's a small opportunity to help us out. And then maybe other areas, or I'm not sure I know them all.
That's okay. So this is what I refer to as our local revenue sources. So a lot of it is related to specifics. I'm just scrolling down one by one. Justice MPS. I am budgeting 40,000, but we do have to look at redoing that. I can't predict at this stage what that's going to be. Some of the other things that are tied to income. So fire marshal income is budgeted at $3,000, and that's based on the rates that we're charging at this time. So that's one of the ones that Steve had mentioned for discussion. Does anyone want to talk about that?
Again, I think we were, and I don't remember all specifics, but I remember some things like to inspect an apartment, which is required. I think the fee is $10, and I can't imagine.
Yes, that's correct.
It can't cost us. It's got to cost us a way more than that just to drive out to the apartment, mileage, time. It's going to take a little bit of time. So charging $10 for something like that, we're clearly, we lose money when we do something like that. Maybe there's an opportunity to get it more in line with what our costs are. I don't want this to be a profit department. That's not my thinking, but at least help offset the cost a little bit more than we've done so far.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
This is a kind of a question I'm going to address to Steve and Orla. Are raising fire marshal fees for inspections, the transfer station permit, fees and things like that. I think that's under the realm of the Board of Selectmen, not us. I'm not quite sure about that, but I think that the Board of Selectmen is the ones that have to have discussion and decide on increasing fees on residents and that kind of thing. I don't think we can. I don't think we have the authority to change those kind of fees as a Board of Finance member. Somebody can maybe clarify that for me. Thank you.
Oh, this is Stephen. I don't know the answer.
Go ahead, Steve.
Rob, I don't know the answer to your question. I don't know who has the quote authority to. I think the Board of Selectmen actually makes the changes, specific changes, but in terms of budgeting, what might be appropriate, we might be able to, weigh in a little bit on that. At least that would be my thought. But I don't really know if there's any legal one way or the other. Orla, maybe you can answer that better than I.
I'm not sure on the legal side of things, but generally, as Steve just did say, you provide recommendations to the Board of Selectmen on how best to handle specifics outside of the budget process. So that's probably how we would do it. That's not my legal opinion, though. Most likely, based on past history, most likely that's how it would happen.
Yeah, Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Yeah, I think that we definitely can recommend that. I just don't think that we can change numbers and make revenue numbers higher without having, it being approved, the revenue approved being higher by a change of fees. That's all I was trying to say. Thank you.
I see that James Sinek can speak to that. He's our fire marshal.
Oh, is Jamie on?
He knows about some other towns doing so forth, but maybe you could help us out.
And so, Aaron Gary, Board of Finance, happy to oblige. It's just that I think we're talking about $3,000, and it's close to 8 p.m. and
yeah, you're right.
we've got about $1 million to go to get to $500,000 if that's what people want to do.
You're right.
I just wanted to keep everybody focused on that. Anything else anybody wants to cover?
I'd like to look at the library just to make sure that the raises, whatever the rest of the town members and non-union and union reduced theirs by, that it is also reflecting in the library side.
This is Orla here. So what I'm showing you here is the narrative page for the library administration. As you see, the current salaries are these, no changes. The only changes is in relation to this proposed hourly increase, which is tied to the minimum wage changes. These are the lower.
Okay, perfect.
And as you see, the only dollar increases relate to the library clerks, which is the minimum wage people.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed.
Okay.
Anywhere else in the, I know we, as we came through the latter half of the last meeting, we moved quickly through the town budget and the capital improvement plan, one page at a time, took action, went to the next page, took action. Anybody want to revisit anything in those sections of the budget that we kind of moved through quickly in the last meeting? Just in case they have any lingering thoughts on any of those items that they wanted to come back to.
I guess the only question I had would be for Orla. Did we take care of all the recommendations that the department heads had put out there? Is that completed or?
It is, yes. Let me just show you on the summary sheet. This is our summary sheet of expenses. This is what the selectmen was proposed. This is the revised amount, and I've put a plug in here. This is showing a formula breaking minusing one from the other. So the reduction in the changes between selectmen and proposed, which is the changes that were recommended last week, is the 422,000.
Thank you.
Okay.
Orla, Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. Orla, do you mean that we reduced by 422 or we reduced? Is that what that means? We reduced it by 422 last week?
We reduced the budget by 422.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Aaron, Rob Wurge. The only other item I had on my mind was a discussion around the amounts of repairs that we have for the library. We have 20,000 in the budget and 50,000 in the capital. It's $70,000. And Allison explained the age of the building. I understand it's getting old. But again, given the time frame given the times that we're in, is there anything we want to do there to defer some improvements? I'm not saying the full 70, but do we do something to curb that back a little bit in the spirit of everyone trying to do what they can to get through this year and defer it till next year? Just an open question.
I'd be glad to share. Allison Boutard, Library Director. To share a couple of pressing, thank you. A couple of pressing things that I feel strongly need to be addressed in the next 6 months. I've mentioned the telephone system before, and I'm hoping to hold out long enough to participate in the phone contract update along with Town Hall. Perhaps we could both realize some cost savings, but the equipment failures that we're experiencing, it's becoming a safety issue. We definitely need to update the security camera system. I've had a number of discussions with Amy about that. She's been very proactive and supportive. I reached out to a vendor today and hope to move forward with that project in the next couple of weeks. So that's project number 2. Project number 3 has to do with preparing the facility to be able to welcome the public back. We want to be at our library, and yet we need to be able to provide a safe environment for all. I've been instructed to have plexiglass installed at our counter spaces, and many of you have visited our facility and know how extensive that space is. We've all seen this in the grocery stores and takeout places, and they're able to get away with, a 4x8 sheet. That's really not our work area. We have a beautiful front desk, and yet 1 4x8 sheet at one countertop, it ain't gonna cut it. I'm meeting with a vendor tomorrow morning to give a cost estimate on that. That's going to be a pretty penny, I'm sure. And yet we want to be able to resume operations safely for all. So those are 3 top priorities that really need to be addressed, I would say, in the next 3 months. We just replaced 2 of the first large HVAC units to the tune of $38,000, plus $1,000 in sprinkler system work that needed to be addressed and able to get the old units out and the new units in. The next 2 units that need to be replaced and should be replaced, you know, we're a couple years behind on this turnover project because some of these units have been misbehaving, and we've been trying to do repairs or putting off repairs, hoping that we can move forward with replacement. The next 2 units that need to be replaced are located in a mezzanine in the boiler room. They service the meeting room, which is the carpeted room where the Board of Finance typically meets. That unit has been non-working more than working for the past 5 years. The other unit that needs to be replaced is in the senior lunch community center room 1. The last estimate I got for that work to replace those 2 units, which do indeed need to go together at the same time because of how the duct work and all the wiring are so interconnected, it would be cost prohibitive to try to just do 1 unit. You must do both at the same time. So the last estimate I got for those 2 units, that again, I feel we should probably plan on doing within the next 6 months, or at least the next fiscal year, was for $40,000. And that quote was, I believe, at least 2 years old. So that's $40,000 to do the next 2 HVAC units in the facility. And I know I keep hammering away how old some of the other pieces are. We are operating with an original boiler. It's 26 years old. It doesn't owe us anything. The other boiler is, I believe, at least 12 years old now, and is the one that gives us the most problems at this point, actually. Go figure. So there's a bit of an overview of some of those are the key challenges. There are other things that need to be done. There's painting that needs to be done. There's some electrical work that needs to be done. There's some lighting work that needs to be done. And then there's the list of things I wish I could get to. So I would caution respectfully removing any funds. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
Any thoughts from members of the board at this juncture? Any thoughts on any areas of the general government or capital improvement plan? Okay, then any thoughts on the Board of Education budget?
Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
I think it was last time we got together, we were talking about capital expenses, and I believe there was a basketball court, and it was about 4 different items. And one of them was repointing some brickwork and things like that, because it's causing water to come into the middle school, I believe. I supported that at the time, and I still do. I think that's the one capital expenditure we should allow on that one. As far as that other one where they were putting in a different unit to get rid of particulates that could possibly be in the air, you know what, a cheap fix for this year would be just to get some good quality dust masks for these kids, and I think they would be just fine. So I will take back what I was saying last week about getting this different air handling system, and just go strictly for the one thing that really needs to be done, because the last thing you need is water damage, more water damage, because everybody knows what that's like. So That's the comment I have on that.
Thanks, Jim.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Rob. Man.
I agree with Jim on that. I wanted to, also, I know there was some kind of fire response at the school last week. I guess it was an HVAC unit that a belt or something went wrong on. I was wondering if that was gonna end up being a repair, or if there was any roof damage or anything else that happened. This is just something to try getting updated for myself and the board on if there was any expenditures or something that's wrong there that's gonna bite us in the butt later on. Does anybody know anything about that?
Respond to that?
Yep. Bill, will you answer that one?
Melinda, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe Bill Birch is on and he can give you the update on that.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Melinda. Bill,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, Bill Birch, Facilities Manager for the school department. So the fire that was at the school a couple of weeks ago, it ended up, it was an electric motor on an exhaust fan that burnt up. Because it was an exhaust fan, there was ductwork that took the smoke into the building. There was no damage to the structure. The school is fine, and I actually just got the bill for the replacement motor today. It was $106.
Wonderful. That was just a concern of mine. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't some underlying damages there that had to be repaired that we were going to overlook. Thank you.
No, there was not, and there was no additional cleaning or anything. It was, and the fire department did a great job, I must say.
Thank you so much.
Any other thoughts or questions on the Board of Education budget?
Aaron, Rhonda Rooney. My internet
ahead,
went
Rhonda.
down and I didn't hear everything Jim was saying at the beginning. So did I heard about the masks, but I didn't hear what you said, what Jim had said before that. So I didn't know if I missed anything.
Jim Belvance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
Basically, what I was saying that I believe they had maybe 4 or 5 different requests for capital expenditures. The basketball court and a few other different items, and the pointing of some bricks or something like that on the exterior of the building, plus a ventilation system for a new classroom. And all I basically said was that we should just do the absolute necessity, which is repairing the masonry on the outside of the school. And as far as this other classroom that wanted some type of an air filtration system, just give the kids masks and stuff for this year, and I'm sure that'll work just fine. So,
okay,
just trying to
thank
cut
you.
money wherever we can.
I'm sorry, could I jump in again? This is Bill Birch again.
Go ahead, Bill.
Aaron, and to answer to Jim's question, yes, I don't think there was any basketball court work involved. And the pointing, I agree, is absolutely necessary. That needs to be done because there has been a leak that we've been chasing there for 3 or 4 years. But to the point of that ventilation system, it has nothing to do with dust. Dust masks are not going to resolve this issue. This is for certain processes that they're taking on with the manufacturing initiative that have to do with plastics and fiberglass and paints. So they're volatile organic compounds that they need to remove in this area, not dust. There's a dust collection system in the area already. It works well. That's fine. But volatile organics and dust are very different things.
Thank you for clarifying, Bill.
Aaron,
Go ahead,
can I
Rhonda.
speak? So,
Go ahead, Rhonda.
thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, okay. All right. So this capital project, are we planning on transferring this over to capital on the town side of the budget? I think that was the ask. And if so, how much? And then you know, I had just reflecting back on what Rob Wurge had mentioned about the Turtle Lot Trust. If that indeed is the case, and we could put that in a different area, there'd be 250 out of that section as well. So just throwing that around. I don't know where we are with this as far as moving it into the town side of the capital or just leaving it where it is. Any suggestions on that?
This is Steve, Board of Finance. Rhonda, I agree with your thinking here, if I'm understanding it correctly, that at least these capital projects, whether they're funded or not, it's a different question, but that these probably belong under the general capital projects as opposed to school-specific. The school also has other projects that they did propose moving to the general capital area. And I think I don't remember all of them, but I think one of them was furniture for a classroom or two. That, for example, is the school-specific, education-specific capital item, and I think that belongs in the school. Whereas these are the building issues, and I think they probably serve us better to keep them into the general town. By town, I mean taxpayers thinking on the budget.
So at this time, though, they're kind of on the school side. So I guess we could either address that now, or we could address it after the budget process. How we're going to handle that. Correct?
Yeah, I think we didn't answer it at the time, so it's either now or whenever. But if you do transfer, you're right. It would be.
I know we only have an hour left, so I want to move forward. So I just want to throw that out there for us to keep on radar at least. Aaron, is it possible for us to move over to the or Orla or all of you to the page, the big picture page with the 0% and then 0.25 and 5 mill rate to see where we are with retrospect to where we want to go, and then you know, keep moving forward here. Maybe take a look at you know, increasing the school by a certain dollar amount and seeing where we are.
Oh.
Rhonda, is this the one you're referring to?
I believe it is, yes. So now this is updated to with the reductions that we made so far, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay. So so if we were to go to a flat mill rate, we're looking at 1.3 million more to cut, or 0.5 would be 1,039,000 roughly. And just big picture, my suggestion is I would like to put a flat budget out there, as I had mentioned from day one. So I think that whatever numbers that we come out with as the final numbers, I'm thinking the town side has already been taken care of. And then in addition to the school, possibly looking at taking that total amount out of fund balance. So I guess we want to look at, you know, where are we with the school? What's the general consensus? Can we see what it looks like, you know, if we, you know, give them a certain dollar amount, and what dollar amount would we want to take a look at, I guess, would be my question. Any thoughts from other board members?
I was going to say, to clarify, Rhonda, your question is to members of the Board of Finance.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
As far as the increase for the school, I know they're going to completely go nuts here, but what would it look like if we gave them an increase of 250,000 over last year? Where would we be there?
Sure. Thank you.
So I just show you what I made the necessary change, just confirms it went into our summary for the expenses line item. And with that change, for us to get to each of the 0.25 and a half, well, you see the numbers in front of you.
Orla, question.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
how much money, what are we looking at as an increase between both of the, at the 0.5, between both the school and the town side with the 250 in mind?
So that would bring it to an overall increase of $518,113.
So, okay, so is that the amount that if we were hypothetically to go with this, is that the amount that we would have to take out of fund balance to make it to a flat budget out to the taxpayer?
No, well, pretty much. Let me just bring up that sheet again so I can show you. It would be, yes, 518,000 for a flat budget, 0.25, 341, and then to the 0.5, it'd be 164.
So I know I'm probably sounding stupid here, but for my sake of understanding, so you're saying if we took 518,000 out of fund balance to fund the expenses of the town plus the 250 in the school, we would put out a flat budget to the taxpayer. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
And if we were to do that, how does the fund balance look as far as you know, our rating and how much we have to keep in there and so on and so forth?
So let me just bring up the document I have here. Bear with me 1 second. Can you guys see anything at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, can you see a document that says surplus fiscal 2020?
No.
Okay.
We're still looking at the 0.5, 0.25 and 0.
Okay, do you see what I'm showing you now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, bear with me a second.
Well, this is Steve. While you're looking that up, Orla, Jim, I wonder if you might explain what you're cutting. I mean, I know the dollars, but what are we not going to do at the school this coming year to reduce those costs by the amount you're suggesting? You're suggesting a roughly from their proposed budget, what, $800,000 cut? What are you saying they shouldn't do? They shouldn't have music. They shouldn't have sports. How many teachers should they fire? What is your thinking here? Because saying out the numbers is one thing, talking about what actually it means is another.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Hello? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Basically, you have to understand something, Steve. On the government side of things, we can dissect the whole budget. When it comes to the school, we don't have any say as far as what they spend the money on. They request certain amounts of dollars from us. All I'm saying is we are in a real crazy time here, folks. And I just really, truly believe that we have got to be extremely careful. I think.
Jim, I appreciate that very much, but you just saying you're going to cut X dollars means you're cutting something, not just the dollars. You're actually cutting programs, teachers, et cetera.
But we don't have any say on that, Steve.
Pardon me?
We don't have any say what they do with the money.
Oh, I understand that, but nevertheless, when we adjust the library, we look at the specific lines in the library, but we don't have any say about what the library does with their budget either. This is the same thing here. When you say you're going to cut that, you must.
Well, we do and we don't.
That we're wasting money on.
So
I'm just trying to see where we're at to try to get to a flat budget. I'm just one person. I just needed to open this up for discussion. We needed to start somewhere. I haven't heard from anybody else on the board, but that's my initial thoughts.
And so, point of order, I know that our finance director was in the process of fully answering a member of the Board of Finance's question that was Rhonda's, and she was saying, what would happen if we were to go like this with the school budget and go like that with surplus? What would that look like? And so the finance director was in the process of answering that member's question. So Orla, if you're in a position to complete the answer to that question, I would prefer to turn the floor over to you so that you can continue to do what you've been asked.
Sure, I'm almost there. Just give me one more second, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share a new document with you guys. So bear with me one second. Okay, we're back to this document here. So as it stands at the moment, based on what we have, can you guys all hear me and can you see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay, so based on what we are looking at the moment for the current fund balance with all the appropriations that we have that we've taken into account this year, which include our money for the money for the oil tank, the security grant. Sorry, I'm back on a document you guys can't see, but I'm reading it out loud. The additional appropriation for spring sports, and then the possible appropriation for the Marianapolis litigation. This brings us to where we are now. So if we were to put out a flat budget and take that additional 518,000 out of fund balance, that will leave us, I know this print is really small, so I'm going to try and make it a bit bigger. It's teeny weeny. Bear with me a second.
No, I can see it. It's 5.53.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes,
Yep.
okay, Laura.
I got
it is, okay.
I got my reading glasses on and I'm good.
Okay, we're good. So that would bring us to a 1.484 mil fund balance, which brings us to 5.53. Not very low, not very high. So that's pretty low, and I think the auditors would cry. It certainly would affect. I have no doubt that would affect our rating with Moody's. If we were to go with the using.
Orla, can I ask one question? Does that number include the possible 230,000 that would roll over from this year's budget?
Nothing's rolling over.
Bear with me a second. No, it doesn't. My apologies.
Thank you.
Glad you mentioned it.
No, Rob,
No, it makes a big difference.
Sorry, Rhonda.
No problem.
Am I right?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Apologies. Hang on.
Okay, Rob, man, Board of Finance. I'm just going to talk while you're doing it, Orla.
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, Rob.
I just want we got to urge a little caution with that snow money, because I think there's supposed to be a possible snowstorm this weekend. I'm not saying that there's going to be sand and salt needed, but we do have to use a little caution on that. That's all.
Thank you, Rob.
Crazy things have been going on.
Yeah, I'm just going to do some additional calcs. Just give me a second, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking to add the additional 230, not the 130. Is that correct, guys?
Well, I guess my question would be the 100 was in there, and then we were going to look at another 130 from the salt. Is that what you had? Is that what you're expecting at this point, realistically?
Well, I'm certainly looking at the 100, but I'm not sure about the salt money, and I'm not sure about all of it. So.
Okay, because of the potential storm. So maybe we should.
Not just because of that, because you guys have already taken out 25,000 worth of salt next year. So I just want you to keep that in mind.
So what's a realistic number, Orla?
I don't know. I mean, that's up to you guys. If you have $135,000 in salt, we bring it down to at least 100.
Okay.
So
And we're talking about what's in the fund balance, which is the 130 or 132 plus the 100, I think.
No,
We're not talking about
what
next
that's the
year.
discussion here, Steve. So if you look up above here at the box I'm showing you, the current year, the estimated at the moment is 1960418 as per the reports that I submitted to you guys at the end of March. If we were to add in the entire 230, that would be, actually be 235. That would be the estimated surplus at the end of fiscal 20, plus an additional $135,000 for the salt. I guess my question is, do we want to assume that we're going to, for this exercise, are we going to assume we're adding all of the excess salt money in or just a portion of?
I think maybe we should just do a portion of, just to be on the safe side. Maybe, what do you guys think out of the 130, maybe 75?
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Rob Wurge.
Yep. Hold on, so Rob Wurge, go ahead.
I was gonna ask how much we have on hand right now from an inventory perspective.
Shed's full.
Are the sheds full?
That is full.
Sheds are full.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I think we should leave 25,000 there. Just to be safe in case something happens.
This is Steve. Rob, you mean assume it's another $25,000 worth of costs?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Should be.
I don't want to leave it empty and then have something happen where he might have to send some out.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you, Orla. Appreciate all your
Yeah, no
help.
problem. Should have done this before.
So
I guess
Orla,
I'm-
Rob Wurge, so you're gonna add back 210, Orla? Is that what we said?
The 210 is already adjusted into, are you referring, when you talk about the 210, are you talking about the dollars for allowable debts?
No, I'm talking about the 235 that we originally talked about minus the 25 that
Oh,
Rob
I'm
did.
sorry.
Close.
Yes. I'll change it now.
Actually,
Okay, because I was adding back 235. Okay.
Right.
If we
Thank you.
were to, okay, this is where we stand on our numbers. If we were to put a flat budget out, it's going to bring our fund balance down to 6, which is too low. If we put in a quarter mill rate, we're going to bring it to 7, which is bordering very tight. That's the lowest we would have ever been. And then if we go with a 0.5% increase, it brings us to 8.
One question, Orla, do we have time, and is it a valid point what Rob Wurge brought up about the Turtle Lot Trust? If we were to remove that the way it's currently set up, because it is a wash, it's coming out of their fund into our revenue back out to the project. Would that reduce these numbers by 250? It's not. Okay. Thank you.
It's not going to affect the mill rate.
All right. That's what I wanted to know. Thanks.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Now, Orla, did you?
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Rob Mann.
Okay. Did you just put 175 in there from the 235? Is that what you did?
No, yeah, that's a manual adjustment from what I'm doing from the audit report.
Oh, okay.
That you guys haven't got yet, but I know what numbers are in there. So
Okay. No, I was looking for the 205 number and I didn't see it. That's all.
the 205 is in here. Can you see it on the screen now?
Oh, I see it up top. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this is a question for the Board of Finance. Just for this exercise so that we can kind of really get a realistic look at where we are and what we're doing and where we're moving. The amount of money that Rainey had suggested in uncollected taxes, how do you guys feel about, should we put that in there? Because my concern is the 21-22 budget, that if we do get lack of revenue from the state, and we also have, families in town that do foreclose on their houses and so on and so forth due to the situation, I don't want to put us in a position where we're really in a bad spot next year from a fund balance standpoint. So what are your thoughts on that?
So Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance, I respect that question. I absolutely do. And I would like for us to discuss it before this meeting concludes. What I'm fearful of doing at this moment is stacking up a series of conversation points on top of each other to the point where we haven't, I kind of want to, if we can, solve each conversation point as we go along. It does look like if we were to say go with a half, let's just, and Kathleen Herbert requested that I recognize her, so I do want to do that. If we were to theoretically go with, I'll just pull it out of the air. If we go with a $500,000 increase and we say, all right, we'll go into the coming fiscal year with 7.5 fund balance instead of 8 because we increase the accommodation for the possibility of lower tax collection. Fair enough. That's a question that we can ask and address. What I'm fearful of doing is stacking too many questions on top of each other. So can we possibly address the question that's in front of us at the moment before we go to the next one? And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone. I don't want us to lose track of where we are.
I appreciate that, Aaron. So that's it for my question on this page.
Aaron, Rob Warge, I'd like to recap where we are, what the assumptions are. I know we've been banging around a lot of numbers, and I want to make sure that Orla's got it all captured correctly. Can we recap that so we know what's actually in that?
Yeah, so my understanding is that we're looking at a scenario, the scenario that Rhonda raised or Jim raised. I know between the two of them, they kind of formulated a concrete what if. And the what if is, what if we were to increase the Board of Education budget by $250,000? What would that do in terms of this summary page? How far down would it bring us? And then the question is, and Orla, maybe you can help me here. It looks like if we were to increase the Board of Education budget by $250,000, that would result in, we still have 117 to go before we hit $500,000. Now I don't know what the other two are because Orla, you shifted away from that summary page. If you're able to go back to that summary page, we were just looking at. So that if we were to give the Board of Ed budget a $250,000 increase, that would bring us $164,117 away from a $0.5 million increase, and then $341 for a $0.25 and so on. I believe that's what I'm looking at. And then Orla sort of advanced the question by saying, well, what if we tap into surplus? Then how much surplus would we have to use in order to reach these three thresholds, and what would that leave us for fund balance? And is that safe or is that unsafe? What does that look like? So it feels like there's two questions stacked on top of each other right now. That's why I was reluctant to. To put a third question on top of all that.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. And that's also, Aaron, thank you for clarifying. That's also 250 for BOF and 268 on the town side. That's where we landed on the town number.
Can you clarify? I'm not following you.
The what if is what if the Board of Finance was increased by the school budget was increased by 250, but it also includes kind of where we landed on the town side, which was a plus 268. I think that was the last number I saw. It was 670 minus the 422.
I see.
Is that correct, Orla?
I'm sorry. I forgot I was muted. This is Orla. That is correct, Rob.
Okay.
So, Aaron?
Yep.
Can I speak? So we don't have to change
ahead.
anything, and I thank you for outlining that. I'm a very big picture person, so the third piece, which is the question that we're not going to address right now, is that other possible reduction or increase to unpaid taxes. And I think putting that in as a critical point if that's something that we want to do, because it's going to reflect the big picture bottom line. So I
Agreed.
just wanted to throw that out there.
I absolutely agree, and I think that's a question that we should address before this meeting concludes. I just want to, like I said, I don't want to stack 3 questions on top of each other. I know we've got 2 in front of us, and they're very closely related questions.
Yep, no problem.
So I feel like we can juggle 2 balls, but I know when I try to juggle 3 balls, then that's when I start dropping them.
Okay.
Does any member of the Board of Finance have a comment at this moment?
I think we ought to take a look at the numbers. If we give the school $1 million instead of $250,000, look at that, what that means. And it may not be coming out of surplus. Some of it may come out of surplus, and some of it may come from a tax increase. As much as I hate to raise taxes or pay taxes, I know we have to take care of our kids, and I think that's important. And a $250,000 increase over last year's budget, that's criminal.
Any other member of the Board of Finance have a comment at this time? Okay. The chair of the Board of Education requested to speak, and I promised her that I would recognize her. And so I'm happy to turn the floor over to the chair of the Board of Education.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Thank you. Cutting us to only a $250,000 increase does not even cover our increase in insurance and workers' comp, health insurance and workers' comp, which you left flat and left alone for the town. That is a fixed cost that we can't reduce in any way for this year. We have to pay that bill. Other costs, maybe we can squirm and cut and do something, but that cost is fixed for us. That's $447,000 that we have to pay. It's equivalent to the $142,000 that you left in the town because they could not avoid paying. That's a fixed cost. So you cannot cut our costs below the $447,000. Or we have to dig into the general ed population budget. That's all I'm saying. That's a fixed cost equivalent to the 142. If you go back to Orla's schedule of the puts and the takes, the increases that she prepared, I don't have a copy of that schedule in front of us, but the schedule that she showed where the reductions went from top to bottom for the reductions. She showed the $142,000 increase in the insurances. That's a fixed cost. And you did not take away from that line. You know what I'm talking about, Orla?
Yeah, I have it up on the screen right now.
Okay. You did not touch that line. You cannot touch that line. In all fairness, you can't touch that line for the school either. Now you could prorate it between the school because we're all one pool. You know, I don't want to get into, we're all one town, we're all one pool when it comes to insurance. If you didn't have the school, the town wouldn't have insurance. That's all I'm trying to tell you. So at least give us the 478. If you do nothing else, give us the 478 to cover our insurance costs. Thank you.
Jim Belvance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
Can we see what the 478 looks like? Just so we can compare it and make an intelligent decision.
So it's a flat 478, right?
Yep,
Okay.
that's what Kathleen said.
Or if you can just hold that window for just, oh, if you can hold that window for just one more moment,
Yep.
that last window.
Oh, the other one?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, you scrolled all the way over. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Do you want me to go back?
Yeah, if you can just hold that window for just one more moment.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, so that would be 478. Got it. Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead now.
Okay.
I just wanted to give it the average person spec just to make sure that everything was adding up the way it was
Sure.
adding up the way that it should for the question. So
Absolutely.
by all means, go ahead back to the big page, please.
There you go.
Orla?
If my memory, Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance, if my memory serves correct, I do believe that bond rating agencies will lower your bond rating if your fund balance is below 7%. I don't know if it's 7.5%, but I do know for the last 25 years, the number 7 has been branded into my head.
That is
I
correct,
do know
Aaron.
that is a sort of threshold number that once you go to 6.99, you've now crossed a line in the eyes of Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch.
That's my understanding too, Aaron.
Aaron, can I speak? Rhonda Rooney.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
I just wanted to thank you. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can.
Okay, so just looking at the Board of Education budget history, which I brought up a couple meetings ago, keeping the people, the taxpayers and the voters in mind, what I did is I did add up 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020, the increases that were approved by the voting population in town, and I divided it by 4 to get the average. So the average increase that has been approved and accepted by the taxpayers is what, hold on a second, I gotta click back to a different section on my phone, is 1.40. With a 478 that Kathleen had suggested, what percentage is that? Do you know, and from a percentage standpoint?
2.56.
So I'm thinking that, and this is just my thought, that if we're going to look at, what has been approved historically over the past 4 years by the taxpayer, maybe we might want to look at a 1.4, whatever dollar amount that is. I haven't figured the math out on that, but it would make me feel more comfortable if we're going to put that out there to them to increase their taxes by that amount, at least a number that they have agreed to in the past.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
That will be an increase
Go
of
ahead, Rob.
268.
Oh, wait, Orla then. Go ahead, Orla, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rob. Apologies. This is that would be an increase of 268.7. Sorry, I'll say it again. 268,274.
So that's almost the same amount as the town, right? 268?
So sorry, 368,274.
Oh, 368. Okay.
I should have been doing it on the screen. I was doing it on the calculator.
Okay. So I mean, the reason I say it is, we're out there in the community, talking to the taxpayers and so on and so forth. And if we, at least there's some justification there, being that nobody can vote.
Sorry, Rhonda, sorry to interrupt you. I did my calculation wrong on the calculator. You said 1.4, right?
Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not 368, it's 261.
Yeah.
So if you look at my
Thank you.
formula up here, I'm taking the budget amount for the school, and I'm multiplying that by 1.4%.
Now, Orla, could you bring that to the mill rate page?
Yeah, I just gotta check one more thing first before I do that.
Okay, Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Over the past couple days, I've looked at, I'm just going to talk reevaluation. I've looked at about 50 different properties and talked to many, many residents.
Rob, hold on a second. Orla, don't click away. Orla, don't click away. I'm looking at the, don't click anything. I'm looking at the spreadsheet. It still says 478. Is that, am I faulty in observing that?
No, I just
The
haven't
spreadsheet-
changed it.
Right, but I just want to make sure if, is that number supposed to, got it. You haven't made a change to that page yet?
No.
Okay, got it. Sorry, Rob Mann, go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't about to look at a summary page that failed to take all calculations into consideration. So go ahead, Rob Mann, sorry.
Absolutely fine. I'm just talking generally. So anyway, I've looked at about 40 different properties, and some properties have gone up, $10,000, and some have gone up $70,000 to $80,000. Now, wherever we set this mill rate, some people have a property tax reduction with really small undervalued homes, and other people with larger homes are taking that isn't even accurate what I just said, actually. It varies from some of the smaller homes that have gone up significantly and some of the larger homes that have gone up significantly. Before we heard an average of 16 to 18% on the average home. Well, some of them are much, much higher, as we discussed. But the whole, it's almost like there's this magic mill rate for homes that your house levels off at. And if the mill rate is lower than that, you don't get an increase. And if it's higher than that, you do get an increase. So the whole formula is very difficult to figure out for individuals. So when somebody says, oh, well, if the mill rate is $23.97, which is a level mill rate, my taxes aren't going to go up, but that's not entirely correct. So we just have to have some caution when we say it's a half mil increase, because some people a half mil increase could start at 19, could be the mill rate, starting at a half mil rate increase on an individual home, and somebody else their half mil increase could begin at 27, 28 mill rate. So just it's different on how the house was valued or undervalued. I just want everybody to understand that. That's all.
Thank you, Rob Mann. Orla, how are you doing on implementing this latest hypothetical?
Okay, I'll do it now.
Erin, can I speak while she's doing that? Not about changing anything, but just in general.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
I just wanted to say that I followed other local towns' budget processes as well. And it is very unfortunate, but we're seeing the same type of budget cuts in local towns across the board. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's it.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I want to just thank Rhonda for doing that percentage increase according to the voters, because I had said in the beginning of this whole thing that I didn't really want to approve a higher budget than the voters had approved in the past. So thank you, Rhonda.
You're welcome.
Orla, how are we doing at this point?
Okay, so can you see the screen?
I can see it's the school board budget page.
Yeah, so I changed the increase proposed by the Board of Finance to 261,704, which represents 1.4%. So if we go back to the other sheet, this is where it brings us to. These are the requirements that to balance this budget that we need to come up with.
Okay. Comments from members of the Board of Finance at this time?
Orla, I'm sorry, Rob Mann, Board of Finance. I didn't mean to jump all over whoever that was.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
No problem.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rob Mann.
Now, on that 0.5, to make that surplus 7, what amount of money would we throw into that budget?
To make surplus,
Yeah, hypothetically, you mean, right now at the 0.5, we're at 7.5 on what
Correct.
would be available?
If you don't
Apologies,
mind,
the page just changed. I'm not sure what happened.
no, I'll just scroll down.
There it is, there it is.
There we go.
if
Does
you
that
look at the
answer-
middle
Rob,
column, Rob,
It's close.
Right, so Rob, man, if I follow you, you're asking what would happen if we were to be left with 7% surplus instead of 7.59, how far down did that get us?
Correct.
I think Bond is right. You're basically looking at, what, a 0.29?
approximately, that's what it looks like.
If 0.25 gets you to 6.93, then 7 even is probably going to be 0.29 or 0.28 or.
Just trying something here. There you go.
Yeah, it's very close to the second column.
Yeah, very close.
I'm just going to reverse that for the moment because it's fiddling with
do.
my formula.
Please reverse that, Orla, please.
Yeah, I just did.
Thank you. Thoughts from members of the Board of Finance at this point?
I have no thoughts except that I think we should consider taking a chunk out of fund balance. And I also, again, think we should at least maybe put at least half of what Rainey suggests in bare minimum in unpaid tax collections before we make a final decision.
Jim
So,
Belvance. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so here, I'll clarify. Thoughts on these two questions in front of us, the Board of Ed budget and the amount of surplus that we would hypothetically use to achieve a certain outcome. Thoughts on these items?
I'm comfortable with that.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance,
Rob.
I'm comfortable with this Board of Ed adjustment.
Okay. So Jim Belvance requested to speak.
No, I think I answered my own question. Sorry.
Any other member of the Board of Finance at this moment?
Yeah, Rob Wurge. We've moved around a couple different scenarios around the school, and I understand the look back on the average over the last 4 years, but I'd also say that's extremely low. I mean, it doesn't even cover inflation, let alone some of the other costs that are somewhat uncontrollable when you think of the unions and other things that the school has. So, I want to be respectful of the voters in the past 4 years, but at the same time, that feels extremely low to me. And I think when we were up in the 460s, if we could work with that scenario again, even if it means looking back in the town to get the whole piece, in line with something that we think is acceptable. I don't feel good. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't feel good about the 261. I think it's very, very low given what the school's facing right now. And if I could also just recap or highlight what Rob Mann was saying, we are working on the averages, and it's dangerous because people are going to be the actual impact, unless your property is exactly on the average, it's going to be all over the place, up and down. And I'm not saying that as a rationale to just increase it. I'm saying that that's a fact. There's going to be a wide distribution or a spread in the numbers in terms of how it impacts every single household. But looping back to my original comment, Aaron and team, I just feel like the 261 is very, very low, and I feel more comfortable going back to the 460.
Any other members of the Board of Finance have a thought at this particular moment?
This is Steve, Board of Finance. I think might be interesting to, not tonight because I don't think they've had time to prepare, but what this impact means for the school. What will that, what happens to their programs and educational curricula and so forth. again, the numbers are just the numbers, but we need to know what it really means in terms of an impact of what's happening to our kids. And I'd like them to have a time to think about it, and maybe at our next meeting, tell us what that will mean. You know, what will or will not be able to happen in the coming year. So you adopt the suggestion.
Thank you, Steve. So a few moments ago, the chair of the Board of Education requested to be recognized, and so I would like to recognize Kathleen Herbert at this time.
Okay, I think it would be reasonable to request that the Board of Finance does take some time to think, because this is an important decision. I thank you, Rob Wurge. I thank Steve Herbert. Cutting us, it is irrelevant what the voters voted on the past 5 or 6 years, because last year, our insurance increase was 8%. The year before it was 12%. This year it is an unprecedented 19.5%. For the school, it's 17.7. It's 19.5 for the town. The school has HSA contributions that didn't change, so it brought us down to 17.7. It's an unprecedented increase for the school. There are other programs that are going to be impacted. The only place we have to go for cutting in our cost is the general population. We're stuck by state mandates. This year, I agree, it's a hard year, but we're going to have to spend additional monies in, as Allison said, for the library. We are going to have to spend that kind of money also, if we can't get grants, on additional expenses to bring our children back to school. We're already spending money on kiosks or kiosks to take kids' temperatures as they come into school. These are expenses that we have to incur or may have to incur to get our kids into school safely. We don't know what the protocols will be to bring children back to school in September. If they can come back to school in September because of this COVID-19 virus. We don't know what the expenses are going to be. So if you cut us below at least this fixed cost that we know, how are we going to make up these expenses? How are we going to incur these? We're looking at state, we're looking at federal, we're going out there killing ourselves looking for grants. We're doing everything we can, and we don't, and at this point I'm feeling like we don't have a town that's supporting us. And it really hurts. I know people are hurting too. I'm not saying that. I really know that we're all in a precarious position. But come on. We all have to support each other. At least support the fact that we need help. This is a fixed cost that we cannot, we can't do anything to save on. We've tried everything in our power to save money all over the place at the school, but this is something that is fixed and we have no mechanism to save. Thank you.
Aaron McGarry, Board of Finance. Orla, I know the first number that we plugged in was 478. What was the second number that we tried? Orla, are you there? Oh, okay.
Yes, I am just checking now. I believe it's 261, Aaron. Yes, 261,709.
So what if we split the difference and we try 370?
You guys see that page?
I can.
Yeah, okay.
Thoughts? Members of the Board of Finance? Personally, I could do this. Thoughts? members of the
Aaron,
Board of
when you
Finance?
had said, yeah, when you had said that you can do this, are you referring to column J, N, or P?
Well, from the beginning, I said, get me to 0.5, and I can support 0.5. And right now,
So
I'm seeing 0.5 would still have us a fund balance of 7.15%, which is damn close to the floor, but it's not at the floor. So basically what I'm saying is column P, personally, I could do this.
Taking the
Aaron,
284 out of
if I-
fund balance?
if I-
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead,
Wait.
Rhonda.
Go ahead, Rhonda, finish your thought.
Aaron, so you said you can do that, and you're basically stating taking 284 out of fund balance. Is that correct?
Yeah, I could do column P.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rob Wedge.
That's what I wanted to clarify. If that meant that we take 284 out of fund balance, or if that's the remaining that we need to get, meaning the 0.5's got to increase to make up for the 284. Question for Orla.
Rob, can you repeat your
I wanna-
question?
I want to clarify your methodology and your formulation. Is what Rhonda said correct, that if we were to go with column P, we would need to take $284,000 out of fund balance, and that would leave us with a 7.15% balance left?
That is correct.
And that would also leave us with an increase to the taxpayer of a 0.5% mill rate increase.
Mm-hmm.
Not 0.5%, 0.5 mil.
0.5 mil. Yeah.
And I will show you that.
0.5 mil. 0.5 mil.
So,
Which is about a 2% increase
yes.
off the 24.
So of the 370,
Go ahead, Orla.
so 370 would bring us to a total increase overall of 6.38, which represents 2.43. That would bring us to a budget of 26,943. And that would bring us to a mill rate of 24.87, which looks wrong.
It does look wrong.
Yeah,
That's a mill higher.
because the 284 is not in there. I think that's because you're including the 284 in there, Orla.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
Good point,
Yep.
Rob.
So,
So just bear
So,
with me a second.
yeah, while Orla's doing that, Aaron, could I make another comment?
Go ahead, Rob Wedge.
I don't know if it was you or Kathleen, someone had mentioned about maybe letting us all digest this, and I would certainly appreciate that, unless there's a mandate to make a decision tonight. I think we did a lot of what ifs. I think the what ifs are good, they're healthy. I personally would like a day or two to process all this and get the recap from Orla so we could study it and then reconvene. If we can't do that, then we stay on and try to come to a resolution. But I know personally I'd appreciate the extra time.
I do believe, and maybe Amy can clarify this, that tonight is the last scheduled budget workshop night, but even after this, whatever, if we were to make a decision on this budget tonight, it's still not the final decision, because I believe next week there's a public hearing, and then a week later, the Board of Finance would have to reconvene and then vote again to formalize this in order for it to go, in order for it to become law, so to speak, as long as the governor's current executive order stays in effect. And Amy, I'm not sure if you're there, if you can hear me.
Yep. Yes, Aaron, Amy St. Ange. You are correct with everything that you said. The nice thing is that there is some flexibility because we're not held to, because of the unusual circumstances, we're not held to any ordinance or, town rule, so to speak. Technically, we are supposed to have some type of budget. According to the resolution that we adopted, there should be some type of budget presented prior to next week's public hearing so that the public can inspect the proposed budget. After the public hearing, you'll have 2 full weeks to make any final decisions about the budget. You will ultimately, according to the resolution that the Board of Selectmen adopted, you have until June 1st to adopt a final budget. So I hope that answers the questions, but you were completely accurate with what you said.
Amy, can I ask one question?
Sure.
Public hearing. So what is that gonna be this year with what's going on?
Right. What it's going to entail is there will be, again, a Zoom platform set up. The public will be able to enter the Zoom meeting. We ask it just to be residents or town leaders, in some respect. Obviously, we would want Melinda Smith here, even though she's not a resident in town. But the public will be able to come on and ask questions and get answers if there can be answers offered. So it won't just be a comment forum. It's just going to be a forum for people to ask questions and make comments for 2 hours.
So is that going to be like where they had the commentator, somebody comes up and then they take a question and then you direct a question to, whoever they're directing it to, and then the question gets answered and, told back to the person, that sort of thing? Like it was,
Again, personally, I just envision things happening the way it's happened, where potentially Aaron would moderate and field questions, and the appropriate individuals would answer the questions as necessary.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious. I didn't know how
Yeah.
that was going to be set up. Thank
Again,
you so much.
it's new territory, so.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Aaron, it's Rob Wirch, again, Board of Finance. I don't want to bring this up to even get into it in any depth because we're going to take it offline, but I think the added time will also allow us to fully understand this Turtle Out Trust piece. And, I used that extreme example at the opening. Normally, it may not, with the original numbers, it was a much smaller percentage. Now it's, it's a big chunk of what we're talking about here. And I have a hard time seeing it in there. I have a real hard time seeing it in there, and the perception of it, the perception is that it's showing an increase that I don't believe is really there. So I'd like to take that offline with Orla and kind of dissect that a little further.
Makes sense. Thanks, Rob.
Okay.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. Does anybody remember what the surplus, Aaron, do you remember what the surplus number was with the 261? Was it 7.5? Is that what it was? 7.56? Is that what it was with the other scenario?
Yeah, I believe it was above. I believe.
7.59.
Yeah, I was more comfortable.
Go ahead, Orla. Go ahead, Orla. Can you repeat that number again?
This is Orla. It was 7.59.
7.59. Okay.
And that was with what number for the school?
That was with your percentage you gave.
261.
Oh, the 1 point. Okay, the 261.
That was giving 261 to the school.
Correct.
Thank you.
Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
I was just wondering if we could just kind of go around the table and just kind of get an idea where everybody's at as far as, most people comfortable with the 0.5, or, just kind of get some kind of an idea of where everybody's heads are.
Sounds good. Jim, if you want to go first, I'm totally cool with that.
I'm good with the 0.5 mil increase.
Okay. So I'll just go around my usual list. Rob Mann, what do you think?
I'm good with the 0.5, but I was comfortable with the 261 because it made kept the surplus higher. And I feel that if we don't have more in surplus, we're going to have less of a cushion.
True. Rhonda, what are your thoughts to Jim's question?
I would prefer to have the 0 increase, and if I felt comfortable with the fund balance, I'd go all the way over to the other column. And I'm going to go with my number of the 261. But I am open to definitely up to the 0.5 with that number.
Okay, and then Rob Wurge, how do you feel?
I feel that I would split things a little differently. I like where Rob Mann's at with trying to get that percentage up to 7.59 or 7.6. That would mean, but I'd like to do that at the 370, which means the 0.5 would have to be up to about 0.6 or 0.62. So I would slightly move up the 0.5. That is a 2% increase at 0.5. I would adjust it to 2.5%. It's still below inflation, and I think it's reasonable. So I would go to 2.5% or about a 0.62, and then get to that 7.59 number that Rob was talking about on the 370 line.
Yeah, Rob.
I don't know if everybody follows that, but
hold on.
Sorry, Aaron.
I'm patient.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm
Hold
good,
on.
Aaron.
Hold on. We're going around the table, and so I covered Jim and Rob Mann and Rhonda. We're on Rob Wurge. So Rob Wurge, do you have any other thoughts before you're concluded?
No, everybody's following. I'm concluded. Thank you.
And then Steve.
So I'll reserve my judgment on what the amount should be, but I really would. I mean, I suffer as much as anybody. My business has been shut down since March. I mean, that means 0 income on my business. So I definitely feel the pinch. But I also know we need to take care of our kids. So I'd like to understand what the suggestions mean in terms of what they really mean to the school, what the impacts are, before I can really make a decision. I don't look at this as aiming toward a mill rate change as much as a what does it take to do the job approach. So a little different thought than others perhaps. But again, I feel the pinch. I don't want to pay taxes any more than anyone else. My personal business has suffered tremendously, but you know, I still am very concerned about taking care of our kids. I think it's a stressful time for them more than ever. So I'll withhold judgment until we've had some input from the school.
Thanks, Steve. And I know Orla is moving numbers around so the screens change, but you know, I said some time ago that I could support 0.5 mil increase. I can't support more than that. I was just listening to NPR this morning, and the unemployment numbers for April are due out tomorrow, and economists are projecting that unemployment in April will come in at 15%. I did a quick scan. I think I mentioned this maybe a couple of meetings ago that I did a quick scan of the Bureau of Labor Statistics unemployment rate. And to get to that number, you'd have to go back to 1939. In 1939, unemployment was 17.2%. 17.2% in 1939. So if the numbers do come out tomorrow, they are 15%. That is scary. That's serious. And I feel like even 0.5 might be too much for some folks to do, but I don't want to. You know, the thing about being on the Board of Finance is you've got people on one side of you saying cut, 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 and then you got people on the other side of you saying don't cut, don't cut, don't cut. And so you kind of have to find somewhere in the middle. You got to find someone in the middle. And so I feel like 0.5 is in the middle. And yes, I would love for the surplus to be, say, 7.5 or 7 3/4. But I feel like I can't go above 0.5. I've got to draw a psychological line somewhere. And so this column P, I think it was, if that column is accurate and all the numbers, I know Orla's moving some numbers around in order to try and make sure that everything jives with what we were looking at. If it does, I can support P. In fact, if I knew at this moment that all the numbers in P were accurate, I would make a motion right now to accept the budget, the entire budget, recommend it to next week's public hearing based on what I'm seeing in column P.
Aaron, can I speak? Rhonda?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
I just wanted to say that, based on what you had just said, I've read all the numbers as well. And what I've read regarding the state and the state budget and what they're predicting for 21, 22, et cetera. This is going to go on for another couple of years. So even next year, when we sit at this table, we're going to be looking pretty much at the same thing, except we're going to be able to vote, hopefully. So I would strongly urge, for the sake of the town and the children, to really consider regionalization of the schools, or at least look into that, because all these little towns surrounding us are facing a similar situation. And I think now more than ever, if we could work together with all the surrounding towns for the sake of the kids, and we could at least, contain the expenses a little bit easier, I think it's probably going to make a lot more sense. And I know that, people don't want to look at that, but I think it's time that we really take a serious look at that. I also, and again, I've said this for the past 4 years, going into 5, that I do believe that we should do an outside study on the high school and to gain the support of the voters. And again, I don't know why there's a trust issue, but there is. That's what I've seen over the past 4 years. And I'm not blaming anybody or saying anybody's doing a bad job. I think that Melinda does an awesome job at that school. And quite frankly, I have to commend the school for being able to do such an awesome job as they have done with the history of the lack of support from the town with these increases. So, we had one gentleman that was at the board meeting after board meeting after board meeting. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but, we may want to look at possibly doing a forensic audit, not to say that the school has done anything wrong, but to prove to the people that they've been above board and honest, and they're doing the best job that they can for the children. So if nothing more, it would gain the support, I'm hoping, of the voters to want to support the school and the decisions that they're making. And again, I know that nobody wants to hear that, but I think, setting aside the COVID-19, if this wasn't a COVID-19 year, I hate to think that we would be sitting there at the polls again, a referendum after referendum, and it seems like we just do the same thing over and over again and hope for different results. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten different results. So I think doing something big and getting their attention to gain the support of the town and the town's people is really where we need to be focused, for the sake of the kids. Just my thought.
So thank you, Rhonda. And what you were touching upon were a lot of policy decisions. And certainly there'll be plenty of time for those discussions in the future. I just want to be careful before this conversation, before the discussion moves away from what's directly in front of us. I don't want it to, I'm afraid that it would shift into a future what if policy conversation. I just want to make sure we stay focused on what's right in front of us. Now, Orla, I know that you've been moving some numbers around, doing some calculations, and I can't see the far right column, that point. Oh, no, it's a different page altogether, I think.
No, I'm just, I have to check my formula. So while you guys were talking, I'm checking my formula. So.
Okay, so are you still calculating?
I'm still calculating.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Jim Bellavance, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Jim.
Aaron, is it your intention that once Orla gets this all cleaned up and looked at, that we're going to take some kind of a vote tonight?
I'm looking at column, I'm looking at whatever column P was. I'm feeling like that's something I can support. And so if Orla is able to run her calculations and and she's able to confirm that all the movements that we've made do add up, consistent with what was in, I think it was column P is what we're looking at, the 0.5 mil scenario. I would go ahead and make a motion to recommend this budget go out to the public hearing based on those numbers. I just want to make sure that those numbers are correct.
Thank you.
Aaron, it's Rob Wurge, Board of Finance.
Go ahead, Robert. Go ahead,
One
Robert.
data point that may help us, may ground us a little bit, is to understand what the percentage, that 7.15%. So I'd like to see what that is today, based on the 1960 current, and then the 235 that we talked about moving over, or 210. We moved it to 210. It's a way to cross-check all the changes, because if we know where we are today and then we know where we're moving to, it can tie out off of the current 6 point of where we are today.
Yeah.
Let's see what the increase represents. That's just something wrong with my formula, and I need to make sure it's right. So
Take your time,
638. 638. That would be an increase of.
Are you sure we shouldn't, this is Steve, that we shouldn't take a pause here so that it can really be reviewed? This is a big thing we're talking about, and we're putting a lot of pressure on Orla, quite frankly, to check a lot of numbers on a lot of spreadsheets. It's
You know what, I have to say, if you guys, I hated to, thank you for Steve being the person to say that. I think I'd like to spend a little bit of time here, because I'm noticing a formula difference that doesn't make sense to me. So I hate to push you guys, but I'm just not sure how quickly I can get through this.
Orla, I've done these kinds of spreadsheets before, and this is a very complex one. I think we're being a little unfair to ask you to do all this without a subsequent review to make sure what you thought you did was right. It all flowed through to the right, number at the end of the day, kind of thing. I think we need to give Orla, a day or two to review everything. We've made a lot of changes here.
How did the other members of the board feel about that?
I'm fine with it as long as we have.
Yeah, can we meet on Monday or something? Is that a possibility? have another workshop on Monday.
Amy, what's the timing on that?
They could certainly meet on Monday. I can get a Zoom set up and send it off to Dottie. Melinda's saying though that there is a Board of Education meeting on Monday.
Oh, yikes.
Maybe we could meet a little bit earlier in the day or Tuesday if we have to or something, but I think we should plan on.
I think it's just very important that we get something published for the public to inspect, so they have enough time before Thursday.
Well, I agree, but I want it to be accurate.
No, absolutely. I agree with you, Steve.
It looks like Melinda did chat that there is a Board of Ed meeting on Monday.
Aaron, would you like me to continue what I'm doing?
Go ahead, Orla.
Okay.
Aaron, this is Kathleen Herbert.
Yes, Kathleen.
If Orla needs time to work on these sheets, and I know it's a I've worked with many worksheets, and this one is a real doozy. If she needs time, the Board of Education, we've conferred among ourselves, and we are willing to move our meeting to Tuesday night so that she has time to work on this and not make mistakes and check her formulas and everything. We can move our meeting to Tuesday.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay, so you can conclude your meeting. She can work on this spreadsheet to make sure that she has the right numbers.
So, Orla, maybe I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Are you right now double checking your numbers to make sure that everything is correct across the pages, or are you in a situation where you have one page says one thing and another page says something else?
The latter.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's one thing. I'm trying to get back to our 93.97, and I have one of these sheets is missing a formula change. So before I give you, I can tell you what the dollar amount is, but so you can still vote on the dollar amount if that's what you want to do, but
That's what I was thinking of is possibly, so go ahead and tell us what the dollar amounts are.
so the dollar amount be here, but I just want to, okay, let me just go to the, what we call our expenses line, which matches this anyway. The bottom line budget we're proposing at the moment is 26943,402. What I need to clarify is.
Don't go away from that.
Sorry.
Hold on. I haven't written. 26943,402. That's the total combined town, CIP, and education.
That is correct.
All right, thanks.
So my concern is that I need to triple check that represents a $500,000 increase, and that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Yep.
So the dollar amount of your budget is not going to change. I just need to clarify that it represents for sure a $500,000 increase, which is what your goal is.
Orla, Rob Wurge, you had that number originally, I think it was 360,000. That was the 0.5, right? So I don't want to oversimplify your sheets, but if you take the 638, which is the new increase, minus the 638, which is the actual proposed increase right now, and you minus the 368 to get to the 0.5, that delta would have to come out of fund balance.
Yes.
Does that help? Does that help or hurt you? I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be helpful.
Kind of hurts me a bit, but this box that I'm highlighting right now.
Yeah. You want that to be 2397, and it's not.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And
Yeah.
for some reason, I got to find out why it's not. It's not feeding in a revenue line or some line that yeah. Something I'm missing here.
Aaron, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
Is Orla working on the 0.5? Which number is she working on? The 250, the 261, or the 370 on the school for the 250?
My understanding.
I'm a little lost.
My understanding is that she is working on the 370.
Yes, that's correct.
Orla, Rob Wurge, I have the file you sent me the other night, so does that, anything I can extract off that help ground you?
Not really, no.
Reference point?
No, I
Okay,
made some
I just thought-
clarifications to it.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just do something here, guys. Aaron, I think I'm gonna have to spend some time on this.
Okay. So,
I'm sorry.
here's what I propose. It's okay. Here's what I propose we do for now, because we've made changes to this budget. And really technically, when you make changes when you take action like this, you really should have some kind of motion. I don't recall that we made any changes to the town. Did we make any changes to the town budget or the CIP? I don't believe we did we?
Not today, I don't think, Aaron.
Right. I think the only changes we made were to the Board of Ed budget at this time.
That is correct, yes.
So I'm looking at, in my booklet, page 108, where this is the original booklet that was put out, and the Board of Ed increase proposed was 1125069, right? If I subtract from that 370000, that gives me 755,069. So I know that we've at least taken, according to what it is that we're looking at in front of us, all these pages, I know we've at least taken that action tonight. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to formalize this. I'm going to make a motion that we reduce the Board of Education budget by 755,069. 755,069. And the reason I repeat that is so Dottie can write that down. 755,069. That's my motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it. Rob Mann, Board of Finance.
Rob Mann's got the second. Any discussion on that motion?
I think it's inappropriate. This is Steve, Board of Finance. It's inappropriate.
Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll go around the table. Jim Bill, Vance, how do you vote?
Jim's muted.
Jim Bill,
I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Rob Mann, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rhonda, how do you vote?
Yes.
Rob Woods, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve, how do you vote? Steve Herbert, you there?
He's muted.
I'm sorry, no. Answer is no.
Okay. And I'll vote yes. So this one carries, this one passes 5-1. So I think now it's just a question of giving Oral the opportunity to run the numbers and then come back and revisit, pick up where we left off on Monday, just like any other budget workshop, pick up where we left off. But we'll do that on Monday. I'm assuming that Amy will be able to get us the Zoom information. Then we'll have to make an amendment to the budget schedule that was put out. But just to come back on Monday and just to make sure to see if all the numbers that we were looking at were accurate, if we really are at 0.5 or if we have to make any more adjustments to get there.
Aaron, Rob Worch.
Go ahead,
Rob Worch, two questions. One, does that mean that the meeting notice has to be posted tomorrow to be a valid meeting on Monday?
Good question.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Okay.
And we can get that
So we
posted.
probably, yeah, we don't have any window to not, given it's tomorrow. And then the second question is, I'm also assuming, but to clarify that if something different comes forward from one of the members or from all those crunching, what we voted on the 755,069 could be amended. And that's why we're having the meeting. In other words, we could change what we've agreed to tonight if new data or new information comes to light.
Agreed, just like in any budget workshop.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I thought, you know what, rather than make a motion to say, I make a motion that we adopt column P, I thought, no, that doesn't make sense because there are assumptions baked into column P that may prove to be not true. But I do know that if we go with 370 increase for the school side, that means 755,069 comes out. That we do know. So if we take that action, then we'll see if column P shakes out, and then we'll know if we need to make any more adjustments on Monday.
Yep, this is clear. That's what I thought. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it.
Rob Mann, Board of Finance. We
Go ahead, Rob
also
Mann.
still need to make a motion for the surplus.
True, but I think the use of surplus is what helps to get us to the 0.5 mil. And I think that's where the calculations are coming up inconsistent. And so then when we get into Monday, we'll see what kind of surplus really does really require to get us to 0.5. And then that can button up our conversation, so to speak.
Okay. Aaron, this is Kathleen Herbert again, please. May I be recognized?
Go ahead, Kathleen.
Just a quick thing. Okay. How is it fair that the town is being fully funded for their insurance, health and workers' comp insurance, and the school is not? That's my only when the school is carrying the town. It's my only comment. The fairest thing would be to prorate the cut. If you're going to cut the school, then you should prorate the cut between the town and the school.
Aaron, can I make one comment to that?
So I just want to be careful that I don't, this sort of comes back to.
I understand that you can't line item the school. You can't line item the library. But if you're going to fully fund the town for, as Rob Word said, the $142,000 increase to the town is a fixed cost, can't touch it, then how come you can touch our $478,000?
So I just want to be careful because like I said earlier, probably about half an hour ago or 45 minutes ago, I've got people on one side of me saying cut, 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 and I got people on the other side of me saying don't cut, don't cut, don't cut. And
Okay,
I think what you've seen,
but then leave us with the 478 and go.
Okay, and so point of order. This is a Board of Finance meeting, and I'm trying to be respectful of everybody who's in this meeting. So I'm explaining that we took action. 5 people decided to take action. And I understand that the people who say don't cut, don't like that. I get that. But we're trying to balance between the people who say cut and the people who say don't cut. This is where we've come in so far. This is where we're at right now.
I know, but looking back at history doesn't tell you where you are today, and where we are today is facing an almost 20% increase to our insurance. And it's based on experience from both the town and the school. It isn't just the school that gave us the 19.5 increase in our insurance. It's also based on town claims.
And I understand that. There's 6 people on this board, and 5 of them just voted to take the action that we just took. So I understand that the people who say don't cut, they can say as much as they want in as many ways as they want, but you got 5 people on this board who just agreed to take a certain action. So that action has been taken. There will be another meeting on Monday. The Board of Finance will take up this budget again, and then it will make a final decision on Monday. There's 5 people. It's not like there's one person who's decided to dictatorially do this. You got 5 people who've just made this decision. Is there any other discussion from members of the Board of Finance? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
So Jim's got the second. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? This meeting is now, and I'll vote yes. So this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.